All right, guys, this is Paul Singh, the market speculator with bullsonwallstreet.com, free weekly swing trade report. Today, we're going to talk about big tech. Now, we're going to talk about 6 or 7 different big tech stocks, but we're really going to focus on Amazon and Google as they both test at the same time this key 1,000 psychological level. It's a big level for traders. Most people do not want to enter before that level because it's such a psychological barrier. But once you break through that level, that can set up a huge run. So we're going to watch that closely. And if those things run, the rest of these big techs will run as well. And we know big tech has been a theme throughout all of 2017. If we look at the Qs, that's the NASDAQ here, we can see the NASDAQ has made a huge run. And when the NASDAQ is running, that usually means big tech stocks are running because it's heavily weighted in those stocks. You can see here since January, the Qs started January 3rd here around 118, and we're already up to 143. So this area has been definitely leading the market. Now let's take a look at Amazon. We're going to start with that one because it's already over 1,000, and I'm actually in this one here. So if we look at Amazon on Friday, now you can see here we consolidated under that level for about a week. Usually it's not just going to break through and ramp. So consolidated, there was some testing back and forth, and then finally on Friday we got that break. Closed at 1,006. My entry was around 1,002. Trade Alert members, Bulls on Wall Street Trade Alert members were alerted of that trade. Essentially now we're placing a 10 to 15 point stop. Give it a little room here to test this level. There might be some back and forth still. Using the 9 as kind of a guide here, which is about 990. So, enter here 1,000 through 1,005, set your stop at about 980, 985. And then we could see a run here now to 1030, 1050, maybe even 1,100 once we are comfortably over this level. So really liking Amazon here. And it's not just this fantastic price trend, which has basically handled the 9 since April here and made a huge run since January from about 750 all the way to 1,000. So we've had a 25% move here in about 5 months. But look at this volume pattern. Fantastic volume pattern. Big green, little red. That's what we want to see, and the big green is over the average volume. So that's exactly what we want to see in terms of a volume pattern. Now let's take a look at Google. We already made one trade in here that was really nice on the break of the high here, up to 1,000. Now I wanted to get out of 1,000, out of the stock before it reached 1,000. So I got out about 995 here. My notes are still here from when I took the trade. But that's what a lot of traders will do. We want to make sure it can break 1,000 before really trading it at this level. So we're at 996, a little behind Amazon here, but again has made a fantastic run from about 790 all the way to 990 here, and now we're trying to break that 1,000. If it does break and hold that 1,000 level, we have the same thing as Amazon, where this thing could run to 1050, 1,100, maybe even spark a bigger move than then if you're looking for a bigger trend trade. So Google looking really strong. These are the 2 key stocks in the big tech space that we're watching, but all of these guys are fantastic. Now Netflix, these guys don't have that same nice round number psychological barrier, but some of these are actually maybe even stronger here. Now Netflix has moved from about 123 to 165 and is actually at all-time highs. Made an all-time high on Friday, and I actually thought of getting into this one instead of Amazon. But same pattern here. We broke to highs. You could enter right where the stock is right now, and maybe this thing runs up to 200, and then we'd have a psychological level for Netflix. But looking really good here. You've got an entry right here. Now, if you do enter, I would give it some room. So give it at least the 9. So I would say maybe around 160 here. Give it about 5 points. And if you want to take a smaller position size and be even more conservative here, you could loosen the stop to the gap fill here at 157. But looking very strong. And then Facebook, the last of the FANG stocks, also breaking to highs and looking really strong. And this is broke 150. Again, use the 9 or the gap fill. I'd probably go to 149, 150 with a stop, and then see if this thing can run to maybe 170, 175, but looking very strong. Now the volume pattern is not quite as good as the other three here. We have had some, on this pullback here, we had some heavy volume, which is a bit of a concern, which is why I'd favor the other three, even though this is still, in terms of price action, fantastic. And anytime stock's breaking to all-time highs, it's at least worth watching here. Now, two more in the big tech space that we're watching very closely, and that is Apple. Apple tends to move a little slower, so it's not always at the top of my list, although it has made a really nice run from about 115 to 155, and it is breaking now as it holds a 9. I would watch this 155, 156 level for a break to all-time highs. But really, if I was going to enter one of these big techs, I'd probably go with one of the FANG stocks ahead of Apple, just because they tend to be a little more volatile. And then finally, the most volatile of all these guys, and that's Netflix. Still got my notes here from some previous trades. This thing has run from 210 all the way to 339. So the most volatile of the bunch here. In terms of entry, I'd probably want to wait here for a couple of things. Either a pullback, which it looks like it might be starting to do, it's at least consolidating here, but a pullback to the 9 and this old high. So we'll say 325 to 330, somewhere in there. Let's see how it tests that level. And then once it tests that level, you can do a couple of things here. You can either play it at that level if it holds, and you've got an aggressive entry, low risk, and you've got some more room to the upside. Or you can wait for a break of the old high, which would be 341 here. The exact number is 341.01. So we'll say 341. We're not going by the intraday high of this day. We go more to the closing high, which is 341. If it breaks that level, you've got an entry as well. So either pull back and hold, or break of the high. However it does it, either now or a pullback and then break. So you've got two really good potential setups in Tesla, and that's the only way I trade it, is if it does one of those things. So we've got 6 big tech stocks here, all looking fantastic, all have already made huge runs in 2017, and look primed and ready to make new runs going into the second half of the year. So keep an eye on big tech leading the market. You should be able to get some nice profits if you trade these setups correctly.